I'm going to show you how to do this practice set of solving systems of equations. It's 1 through 8, but I'm going to do one with you, so you can see what to do. And yesterday's notes together, it had 2 equations, and we talked a lot about the number at the back is where you're going to begin graphing. And then the number in front of your x, well, that's your slope number, so it tells you how much to rise and run from that y-intercept that you did first. So after we graph both of them, we will check that point where they intersect to see if it makes both equations true, okay? So for this equation, since it is in slope-intercept form, it's easy to see that that number at the back is the y-intercept. So I'm going to start on the y-axis at the number 3. My slope number tells me how much to move. So slope is a ratio of rise over run. If you ever have a negative, just put it with the top number. So it's telling me from my 3 that I need to go down 5 and then right 3. Okay, so since we had to go down a lot on this tiny graph, there is not enough room to do another point. So I'm just going to draw my line through these 2 because that's all that really did fit. So be careful whenever you line up your points. Don't do it so fast that it doesn't go through the point. Okay, my second equation is still in slope-intercept form, so that number at the back is a -3, and it tells you where to start on the y. So I'm going to put my point at -3. It's telling me to rise 1 and run 3, because that's my number in front of my x. So from here, go up 1 and right 3. And there is a point that it has in common. I don't have enough room to go again, but I do have enough room if I go back to the beginning and reverse it. So instead of going up 1, I'm going to go down 1. Instead of going right 3, I'm going to go left 3 and put a point. So draw your line through those 3 points. Okay, so once you have both of those lines on the graph, you want to find if there is a point where they meet. Some of your graphs will have one point if it's like this, because they did come together. If you end up with parallel lines, you will just say no solution. If you end up with a graph that was a line, and then the next line was the exact same equation, so you end up with like a line on top of itself. We had one in the notes already today that was infinite number of solutions. So just keep in mind you have these 3 possible outcomes. You could have one point. If it's parallel, you say no solution for your answer. If it's a line on top of itself, that's an infinite number of solutions because it's going to have a whole bunch of points in common. But for this first one, there's just this one point, so you want to name it with its x number first and then its y number, like a normal ordered pair. So this one, if I'm starting from the origin, it is at 3, -2. So you want to check it to make sure that it's right. Okay, so I'm going to write these 2 equations out in this box. For your ordered pair, I would label it as an X and then a Y, just so it will help you plug these numbers into the equations. So underneath my X in both of these, I'm going to fill in a 3. I'm going to put it in parentheses so it's not running into this other number, and it will show that it's multiplying. Underneath my Y in both equations, I'm putting a -2. Now, I'm just going to bring down everything else that was already there. Like, it had an equals, it had this fraction, it had that number at the back. Just bring it all down. Okay, then you want to use your calculator on the rest of this packet to make sure that that this side, whenever you punch it in and hit enter, that it really does give you -2. And then on this one, I would punch it in to see if it really does give me that -2. Hold on, I'm looking for my calculator. Okay. Alright, so I'm just punching in this side. I'm going to do the fraction, the green Y equals -5/3 times 3 plus 3. So I really did get a -2 for this side, and over here I already had a -2. So that's telling me, yes, this point is definitely on this line. I want to make sure that this point is also on the next line. So I'm just punching in this side to see if it gets that number. Fraction again, 1/3 times 3 minus 3. Also got a -2. Okay, so that tells me for sure that I did it right. I graphed my lines, and that point is a solution for both equations. So it is the solution to the systems of equations, okay? So you're going to go ahead and work the rest of these. I will be grading the graph. I'll be grading to see if you wrote your ordered pair, and I'll be grading to see if you did the check. So if you're skipping the check, you're not going to end up with a pretty grade. Okay, whenever you're done with this, you need to turn it into the bin.